This is Tommy Shaw, and I got news for you. You're listening to the talk show for people who don't even listen to talk shows. That's me. This is more than a talk show. It's the Allan Handelman Show.
So here's a question. Are there some conspiracy theories that you buy into? What are those conspiracy theories? Let me know on Twitter at @IfItRocks, or on Facebook under my name, Allan Handelman, or Rock Talk with Allan Handelman, two separate ones. Love to know what you think. Brad Steiger is with us talking about conspiracies and secret societies, and you're going to hear the voice of William Cooper, Colonel Corso, and you'll hear who these people are. And right now, David Icke, who believes in that, I guess he's calling it a reptilian connection, some kind of alien connection with our world leaders. Continue with that thought.
And what happened is, as I started to put this together, particularly the structure of society today, because I realized after a very short time that the so-called structure of the free world, free democratic societies, as they're called, is actually structured not for freedom, but actually for covert control. It's the prison without the bars, if you like, although since 9/11 the bars are becoming more and more obvious. It's putting someone in a prison while convincing them through their lives that they're free. And that's the most effective form of control, because people do not rebel against not being free when they think they are. And so I started to look at the structure, and I thought, this could not have been put together in a few years. So when did this start? And I started going back, and it was very clear very quickly that, like I said, the structure of society today and the institutions that control society and dictate to it have not been infiltrated by this force. They were created by it from the start to give this illusion of freedom while fundamentally removing it. And I got back eventually right into the ancient world, following this theme back of this force and this network of interconnecting secret societies, etc. And then I got into the far ancient world, thousands of years BC, and then you start coming across this very common theme throughout the ancient world in accounts and legends and myths and all the rest of it, of a non-human force that interbred with humans to create a hybrid bloodline. Now, this hybrid bloodline was the bloodline of perceived as the bloodline of the gods. And these people, the demigods, were put into positions of royal ruling power in the ancient world, all over the world. This is where we get this ancient idea of the divine right to rule. What is that? It's the right to rule you claim because of your bloodline, because of your DNA, the DNA of the gods as it was perceived. Now, if people find that hard to believe, well, about 2 hours from me, sitting here, is a lady in Buckingham Palace. She's the head of state in the United Kingdom, Queen Elizabeth II, for one reason and one reason only: her DNA. If she had a different DNA, she might be cleaning the throne, mate, not sitting on it.
So she's a part of. She's one of these hybrid. She's one of these hybrid.
Yeah.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is the whole royal family of Britain is structured fiercely in a DNA hierarchy in connection to the ruling monarch. Now, this was happening, of course, in the ancient world. This is where these royal bloodlines came from. And when you follow these bloodlines through from the ancient world, Alan, they moved out of the ancient Near and Middle East to other parts of the world, but the ancient Near and Middle East, Sumer, Babylon was the major area and headquarters for this network at one point. They moved up into Europe, where they went to and settled in Rome and headquartered themselves in Rome at one point. That's when we had the Roman Empire. They then moved up into Northern Europe, and they became the aristocracy and royal families of Europe. They moved massively their operational headquarters into London centuries ago. And what followed that? The British Empire. And this British Empire and the other European empires, particularly the French, but the British was the key one, then, of course, went off walkabout around the world. And it was said that the British Empire was so vast the sun never set on it, which was true. They moved into the Americas, where you are. They moved into Australia and Asia and Africa. And what they did was export the bloodline and the secret society network through which this bloodline manipulates itself into power. And they have gone on controlling these countries ever since. And when you do the genealogy of, for instance, American presidents, there have been, 43 from George Washington, George W. Bush. You find in a country today of 280 million people, the United States, goodness knows how many people have lived in the United States since it was formed. And of course, the United States was formed gloriously as one of the wonderful things about the United States from a massively diverse genetic pool of humanity. If it is true that anyone can become president of the United States, then those 43 presidents should reflect, surely, that genetic diversity. What you find is that the presidents of the United States are actually as much a royal bloodline dynasty as anything you'll find in Europe.
All related.
And just to finish the point, to bring it round to the question you raised, there's no doubt that, from the research that I've done, ancient and modern, from the hundreds and hundreds of people that I've met and have told me about their experiences, and insiders of this who are sickened by what's going on, but are too frightened and feel they cannot go public with it by name, that this bloodline connects into a non-human force which has been manipulating this planet through these bloodlines for thousands and thousands of years, eons probably. And today they are moving towards the goal that they've had all along, which is a centralized global fascist centralized dictatorship.
Scary stuff.
A global version of Nazi Germany.
Dave, we got a break.
I tried so hard. That's an extended little clip there, but there's a conspiracy that is so hard, and I told them it's so hard to grasp it and believe it. We put it out there, fascinating to listen to, and David Icke is his name, and I recorded that, I think, about 9 years ago, and it's thoroughly covered in the new book, Conspiracies and Secret Societies. Brad Steiger, I want your reaction. We don't want a reaction. I just want to take a quick break here, and we're going to continue. And I'd love the audience reaction to David Icke and what we're talking about. Go to Twitter at If It Rocks, or under my name, Allan Handelman, on Facebook, and Allan's Allan, and Handelman, Handelman. And I'd love to know what you think.
Stay tuned for more of the Allan Handelman Show.
I want to tell you a little more about that Super USB Wi-Fi Antenna 3. It's very important if you're on the road and you're trying in the car, wherever you are, you need some Wi-Fi, you need a hotspot, but you just can't get enough power to pull it in. This does the trick. It is amazing. And there's a special price he's putting on it, $99 if you use the code Allan. And this can be used at home. You can, once a lot of people are using this, it's so powerful, bringing in weak signals. Even if you have a neighbor, let's say, who has Wi-Fi, and he makes an arrangement with you. If you want to pick it up, I'll let you pick it up, share the cost, and you can pick it up and split the costs. You can cover the neighborhood with this, and wherever you happen to be. I like using it on the road because sometimes you're at a hotel and it's pretty slow sometimes. And you can just put this on the window and roll out the wire, and you can buy extension if you want to put it outside. You can even put it on the roof. It's pretty cool. See for yourself. Go to the website, ccradio.com. ccradio.com. Use the code Allan. Of course, say you heard this on the Allan Handelman Show. They give you special deals. And just call, if you want, just for the free catalog. That's all you have to do. 800-522-8863. It is so cool to look at this stuff. I guarantee you this is a company you're going to be happy with.
You're listening to the Allan Handelman Show, your window to rock and roll, alien sightings, paranormal activity, declassified data, music, comedy, pop culture, sex, and always the most interesting people in the world.
Great to have you back. The new book from Brad Steiger, the king or the master of the paranormal, takes the strange and unusual and paints a picture.
Great to be back.
Wow, you heard David Icke. I played the extended. None of this I'm going to be playing today. You heard, but your reaction.
Well, didn't that work out marvelously well? you asked me about, this particular theory of Ike's, and I gave a little preamble about how it goes back to Sumer and all around the world, and then he picked right up on it, and we have a wonderful demonstration of how some ancient myths or ancient beliefs, whatever you want to term them, how they can emerge as full-blown conspiracies. Now, we can study about the reptilian entities. This has gone into ufology. You know that, Allan, that now so many of the people who claim to see entities with UFOs, they're reptilian. And it's just like this great, and this is what Sherry and I deal with so much, much of the conspiracy is like a great cosmic dream that we're all dreaming. And it expresses our fears and ancient beliefs. That's what we find so fascinating. They emerge now in our brand new century with a little different dressing on them. I mean, we update. There's something about the human psyche, isn't this fascinating, that continually updates the ancient myths and put them into a contemporary context.
Well put. Well put. We're going to come back to UFOs, but some of the things that may or may not be related. Well, this is, I guess UFOs is real. I was going to bring up William Cooper, and I was going to say it's not really UFOs. He's kind of a conspiracy guy, and but he also, for a while, I used to have him on. I started having him on about 1987, 88, and had him on right till days before he was shot, killed. And I'm going to let you hear some of that audio, but he started off a lot talking about UFOs. He even sent me videos of UFOs he took himself at Area 51. And then as time went on, he got very bitter and changed from UFO interest. He just assumed it was not extraterrestrial when he told me 10 years earlier it was extraterrestrial.
Right.
And then he got very mean, and then it got into the government's out to get me. And God, tell everybody, give a 3 or 4 minute introduction. We'll take a break, and I'll let people hear this guy, William Cooper.
Well, William Cooper became really quite a close friend of ours.
Oh yeah,
we lived not far away. We would get together. We did a lecture tour of Hawaii together and appeared in many places. Now, we did not agree with a great deal, but he
That's
apart
true.
From the angry persona which he presented, he was, really a nice guy just to be friends with.
If you're a longtime listener to the show, probably the request I would get the most when it came to the conspiracy theory guests I'd have on from time to time. I'm not talking about an investigative journalist and reporter like Brad Steiger. I'm talking about people who were in the trenches believing this stuff and had the conviction. William Cooper was the number one requested guest in that realm, the people who deeply believed what they believed, like David Icke. William Cooper, people still offer me money if I could ever find the old tapes of having this guy on, because I've had him on maybe over a course of 20 years. Let me let you hear a little audio of William Cooper, and he's covered completely in the new book by Brad Steiger, Conspiracies and Secret Societies. It's a second edition. Here's a little clip of one of my most recent shows with William Cooper.
Well, it actually started many years ago when...
Let me just set it up. This is where he was on days before he was about to be killed, and he knew he was going to get killed, and he was telling me right from his compound, his ranch, what was going on, and he was telling the story.
Well, it actually started many years ago when I discovered there was no law passed by Congress requiring anybody to file and pay income taxes. And I didn't believe that, so I called the IRS and asked them to tell me what the law was that required me to file and pay the income tax. And they couldn't do it. And I was dumbfounded, so I started asking other people, people who should know, lawyers and tax attorneys and CPAs and accountants. I went to H&R Block, who do all your tax returns and ask them what's the law that requires me to file and pay income tax, and nobody, and I mean nobody, can produce such a law, not even my senators and representatives. And so I told the IRS, I'm not going to file and I'm not going to pay until you can show me a law that requires me to do it. And it would be very simple. I mean, if there is such a law, why wouldn't they have an interest in producing it so that there would be no controversy? And I'm not the only one. There's about 65 million people who no longer file or pay the income tax, and now businesses are beginning to catch on that they're not required by law to withhold any monies from anybody's paycheck. In fact, it's against the law for them to do so unless they've been named as a withholding agent by the federal government, and no business has ever been named as such a withholding agent. So I've challenged them in letters. I've challenged them on the air. Please, just do something very simple. Produce the law that requires me to file and pay the income tax. If you can't do it, I'm not going to file, and I'm not going to pay it. And so they absolutely refuse to produce anything. So I took them to court, sued them, in United States District Court in Phoenix, Arizona, and was winning. They had perjured themselves twice. They were unable to produce any of the documentations that I asked for in my lawsuit. And so they went to a grand jury and lied to the grand jury, did not tell the grand jury that I had requested them to produce the law that requires me to file and pay the income tax. They did not tell the grand jury that I was prosecuting them in a lawsuit in United States District Court and was winning. And they lied and obtained indictments against myself and my wife. If the grand jury had known all these things, they never would have brought indictments. They did not allow me to testify to the grand jury. The IRS was up against the wall. I had them in a very, very bad situation. And the only way to stop me from winning that lawsuit was to bring warrants for my arrest so that I could no longer go into court. And so I had to notify the judge that I was withdrawing the suit against the IRS, hoping to be able to file it again sometime later. I never heard another word from the court, so I have no idea what the judge did. Not too long ago, Agent Fillerup, who was the local FBI agent up here in the White Mountains area, was transferred, and they brought 2 new agents in. And the word that sifted to me was that they were brought in to replace Agent Fillerup, who had a great deal of respect for me, in order to bring me in. My daughter called, I guess 2-3 weeks ago, and told me that the U.S. Marshals were really bothering her and threatening her and wanted her to draw a diagram of all the rooms in the house, and that they had been asked by the Internal Revenue Service to bring me in on or before, preferably before April the 15th.
Real quick, how old is she?
She's 20 years old.
Okay, just want to get an idea. Okay, go ahead.
She'll be 21 April the 2nd.
Okay, so they were threatening her. I mean, all right, I'm going to speed it up here. What you're listening to is audio from, a decade ago of William Cooper, hours before getting killed, being shot. And I want you to hear some more of this. Brad Steiger's our guest if you're just tuning in, but we're talking about his book, Conspiracies and Secret Societies. Okay, here's continuing it just before, and he actually predicted he was going to get killed.
And the night of the 13th, which was just a few days ago, I went to bed on the 13th, and I can't go into too much detail because I don't want people to know exactly what it is, but I have really set up this entire area so that nobody can even come near without me knowing it.
Even outside of your property?
Yes.
Okay.
And these devices began to alert me at about 2 a.m., which would be the morning of the 14th. And between 2 a.m. and 2:15, I managed to pinpoint with the night vision 6 men armed with, it could have been automatic or semi-automatic rifles, but definitely of the assault, of what people normally would call the assault-type rifle. were proceeding across the hill toward my house. And so once I had pinpointed them and made sure that there was nobody else anywhere else, and that's exactly where the alarms were coming from, and there were 3 militia sentries up here besides myself, I managed to locate one with the night vision who was signaling me that there were intruders on the hill, and in fact he was in their rear, and had another sentry in their rear and then one on their east flank. And I left the house with a Mac 90 and 3 30-round clips of ammunition and went below the crest of the hill around to the east side, about 60 yards from the front door. And these guys, I don't know who these guys were. I don't know where they were from. I don't know what agency they represented. They may have even been bounty hunters. I have no idea. But they were hooting like owls. It would start with the guy all the way over on the west side, and he would do his little owl hoot, and then the next guy a couple of seconds later, and then the next, until there were 6. And I remember thinking, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. These guys would have been dead in 5 minutes in Vietnam.
Was it a good imitation of a howl, at least?
Oh yeah, they were very
okay.
Very
all right. So you obviously knew something was not right here. Okay. So go ahead.
Yeah. So there were now 4 of us, 2 of us in their rear, and then myself and another militia sentry to the east, directly to the east of them, and they were swinging around in this sort of like a half moon formation toward the house. I have no idea what they had planned to do when they got there, but all of a sudden I had a brainstorm, and when it got to the center, I would hoot like an owl, and then the sentries caught on, and they were hooting like owls, and these guys didn't catch on for a few minutes until they were almost on the property, on the actual property of the house. And then they just stopped dead in their tracks because obviously they had figured it out that
too many hoots.
4 extra hoots, yeah.
Yeah, too many hoots.
And in places where nobody should have been, at least nobody in their team. And so they stopped dead in their tracks. And about that time, the security lights around the house came on, and these are 600-watt lights, and just lit up the whole top of the hill and caught several of them in the light.
We don't want another Ruby Ridge. We don't want another Waco. And your conviction, you're not going to be taken. You're not going to, just walk out. They're going to have to get you with force. You've said that.
No, they're going to have to kill me.
And you're going to try to kill them before they kill you.
Well, I will certainly defend myself. Absolutely, that's my right to do that. I will not bow to tyranny, and they're going to have to kill me. And if they kill me, they lose.
You're hearing, it just refreshes my memory of what he believed. And it was compelling to listen to. I couldn't understand. There's more to this where he knew he was going to be shot and killed, and he just seemed resigned to it. It was so weird and surreal having him on at that point. And, of course, the news, he was shot and killed.
This is the Allan Handelman Show. Compelling talk radio.
Hey man, nice HD radio in your dash, huh?
Tons of music and no subscription fees. Get your HD radio now at Walmart. The JVC HD car stereo. HD radio. Discover it.